when you decided to just commit to a more righteous life and to completely change your ways, completely change your mindset, and to just genuinely be a good person. You've always had a good heart, but I think it's fair to say you always haven't been a good person.
Right, yeah.
When you decided that you were going to be a good person and that you were going to dedicate your life to serving others, to helping others, and to just being the best version of you that you could responsibly be, still in prison, what did the rest of your days from that point look like? How did you conduct yourself? Because I'm sure initially it's like, oh, wow, the president of the Hells Angels in here, and you kind of carry yourself a certain way. But then you have this breakthrough, this transformation. How did life in prison change from the time that happened to where the end of your sentence was fulfilled?
Much different from the previous years when I was in for state and federal, and I was younger and stuff. So once I made that conversion, I spent a lot of time in the library. There was a little gym that we had there.
Which is a little ironic.
Yeah.
Considering in your younger days, you were throwing people through library windows.
Yeah, good. I never put that together. Yeah, but you got it. I was in the library. I had a little gym that I was in there. I would train with the fellows and stuff. And I became really good friends with one of these ABs, which is the Aryan Brotherhood guys, AB. Mm-hmm. I became friends with this guy. And he was always in the arts and crafts room. When I left there in 2008, he was just going on his 30th year. Mm-hmm. Been locked down forever. So I used to go and watch him, and he'd paint, and he'd do clay stuff. And I'm like, man, Kevin, you're amazing, bro. You paint like portraits. And he goes, yeah, I got a lot of time to practice, right? We used to laugh and stuff, So I hung out with him, and always was going, I was at church on Sunday. Everybody knew I was on the spiritual kick and my beliefs and stuff. And I just conducted myself in a good way. No problems with nobody, because I didn't get nobody's business. Yep. I didn't walk around there like I was Joe somebody. I was just doing my bit, minding my business, and I kicked it with everybody. I kicked it from
kind of like how you do now.
With now, yeah. And I kicked it with everybody, all the gang leaders, all the different motorcycle clubs that were in there. They knew I wasn't on that page no more, and they really knew. People would tell me, yeah, we thought it was a front at first, but you're really not on that page. I go, that's not my business what happens in that world no more. Yeah. What you did to them or they're doing to you, man, please don't. I don't want to hear about it or bring it to me, because it's not me no more. Yeah. So I really had to concentrate and stay in the Word and stay with, in my relationship with the Lord, to not turn around. And as I say, I can't dip my toe into that pool, because I can't test the water, because I'm so structured to that old lifestyle. It's like an alcoholic. Yeah. He's not going to be like, I'll just try a sip of that Jack Daniels. And then next thing
let it hit
he's
the lips.
Holding both bottles.
Yeah.
And that's how I think of it. That's why people are like, you don't ride. No, I don't ride, And it was funny. We just had the Tampa Pro last week. And
it's not who you are anymore.
Yes. And and all the wrestlers, and Batista being a local guy and being your friend. I seen him at the Tampa, and we hadn't seen each other in years. And he said, Mel, man, he goes, it's crazy. I just got a bike. After 10 years of not having a bike, I just got a bike. Got my other friend's bike in the garage. I got 2 bikes in my garage. He goes, what's the odds? And now we're sitting with Eddie from Powerhouse, John Hansen, or 8 of us around. He goes, man, what's the odds of me and you riding side by side with each other? I go, yeah, bro, not happening.
So did he know? Did Dave know that
I kind of told him. Well, he knew my story. And he knew who I was.
Did he know that you had given up riding?
He some people told him that I don't ride anymore, but
he might not have taken it very seriously.
He didn't,
because
really
when I
know.
Heard that, I'm like, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, and I said to him, I go, bro, not happening.
Well, you shared it with me last night. We talked about it, and you're like, I don't really know why between the riding and certain establishments you no longer frequent, and just certain lifestyle activities you just don't do anymore. Yes. And you kind of it seemed to me you had a hard time really understanding why you purposely and intentionally and deliberately stay away from those things. And brother, I get it. It reminds you of the person that you used to be. Yeah. That person that's not you anymore. No. That lifestyle, brother, you lived under chronic stress, whether you were consciously aware of it or not. When you're at war and you're the president, they're gunning for you.
Yeah.
You're in chronic stress, and you lived like that for a number of years. So anything, and especially now with how the vibe of your life is just on the total opposite end of the spectrum. You're happy, you're working, you're helping people, you're always smiling. Anything that interferes with your vibe and kind of even brings you back to that place for half a second, dude, you're gonna feel that little bit of anxiety in your stomach, and you just have to separate yourself from it. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely, talking about getting away from being the people we used to be. So I mentioned at the beginning of this a tattoo that I got when I was 15 years old of one of the guys on Oz. So we were talking about tattoo cover-ups. That's what this is.
Yeah.
It started with just getting I wanted to get a skull over it, and then looking at how it just didn't look right. So then I had to get more added onto it, more added. And I'm like, you know what? Speaking of which, like, not only is that it was a longhorn, a bullhead. Not only is that not who I am anymore, this whole tribal piece I got when I was super young, and that's not who I am anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm basically rehabbing my entire arm. It's a complex process, but it's like, you know, we have to evolve into our new forms, and anything and everything that isn't consistent with the way that we want to feel and the vibes that we want to feel for ourselves and project onto others, man.
Yeah.
It's got to fucking go.
And
that's not going to make sense to everybody.
Yeah. And it was a slow process. I tell everybody when we talk, and I said, the Lord's taking his time with me. He just didn't go, okay, 180, you're a different person today.
No.
He brought things out of me slow. I always say, God babies me. You know what I mean? He does baby me. He protected me through that crazy lifestyle. I was telling the fellas in here earlier, I was by far not the baddest dude in that 1%er lifestyle. There was guys that in my own crew that I wouldn't want to step to, period. On a fighting stance, on a taking care of business stance, you know, there was some real maniacs around me on both sides of the fence.
Like legitimate psychopaths.
Yeah, for sure. So he protected me in that lifestyle. You know, I got the tombstones on my arms. You got guys that never coming home from prison, and here I am doing this interview with you. And I said, you know, the Lord, you know, kind of played chess with me for something later in life. And now I I really see it, because look at all the people that do reach out to me. Look at the people that I get to help through his grace. And I'm like, okay, you got a guy, you know, I tell my 35-year friend, Pastor Steve, you know, he's been a Christian since he's been 15. He said, Mel, quit saying that you're being lazy. You're not lazy. You're reaching people I could never get to.
Yeah.
I reach people you couldn't get to. He goes, you're not being lazy. You put it out there. Everybody knows your faith. So with him taking his time with me and bringing me from out of that stuff and taking that stuff out of my lifestyle, you know, people see it and they're like, I won't go into a strip club anymore because, and I have some very dear friends here in Tampa that own them here, and very dear friends around the country. But for me, I'm dipping my toe in that water, the old alcoholic syndrome or whatever, and I just have to avoid it. And
you know what's best for you.
And yes, I do. I know where the fight's at, and I know how to stay battled up, you know, through my relationship with him. And that's what works for me. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times I have to go and get out of a situation and get into prayer, because let's be honest, you know the industry. Sometimes you're not dealing with the best people.
Well, I know times you and I have been out together where I had to play in the corner.
Yeah.
I was like, hey man, it's all good, baby.
For sure.
Hey, it ain't that's nothing. Let's
you got to know your fight. So I'm blessed to be where I'm at. I'm in such a good spot, you know, in my life, where spiritually, you know, and my wife, with my relationship, with my dear friends, with with the core medical and the IFBB NPC, I just look, I open my eyes and say, man, it's like a dream. Everything that I was praying for many years ago, I'm living now.
Yeah.